Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel, founder of Zen Within Academy, and energy medicine teacher. I'm going to share with you the April energy update. I can't believe it's already April, but we have 3 really big themes to share with you this month. The first theme is clearing persecution energy. The second is the courage to say yes and no. And then the third theme is finding your inner knowing. So stay tuned for the rest of the energy update. Happy April, happy spring to everybody in North America. Thank you all for tuning in. February and March were big. Lots of shifts for me personally, and the clients that I've been supporting have been clearing a lot of really big blockers out. It's been a pretty spectacular time of release. And I knew about a week ago as I started to receive the April energy themes that we were in for a bit of a different month in April. Things are moving very, very quickly. And the first thing that I want to say before we get into the themes is really just honoring what you need right now. It's so important because I don't know about where you are, but where I am, things are starting to open up and there's a lot of pressure to speed back up and to do things the way we used to do them. And that may not be where you're at anymore. You've probably moved through a tectonic shift in your being since this time last year. So just really honor where you're at. And so the first theme that I want to talk with you about is kind of a big one. It's kind of the densest theme of all of the ones that I want to share with you this month. But it's this idea of clearing persecution energy. And this has already started to show up in my sessions. I always get a bit of a preview of what's going to come in the month. And what I'm noticing is that many of us are showing up to clear lifetimes where we were persecuted, where we were not able to claim our truth, where we shared our truth or our gifts with the world and we were pushed to the side or completely wiped out because of it. This is a pretty dense theme, and I mentioned it to my partner and he said, well, you know, it's also Easter. And I thought, oh goodness, of course we're going to clear this persecution energy. And it made me really think about 2 years ago when I connected with Yeshua or Jesus and his energy for the very first time in terms of channeling that energy. And when I connected with him, one of the first things that I was taken through was the energetics of the persecution energy that he suffered and how he had to move beyond that. He had to claim courage and claim a lot of strength and really be in his knowing in order to take his teachings forward. And I am not a super religious person. I've been around it my whole life from where I grew up, but that persecution energy is something that we all carry. And so many of us, as we've moved through this pandemic experience, have been called to do new things, to bring new work forward, to bring new businesses forward, to create something brand new, because that's what this Aquarian energy is all about. But it's scary, right? It's scary to put ourselves out there. It's scary to claim something new and not know how it's going to be received. And I know for me personally, there's all this new information coming in around the nervous system and working with the energy body in a new way with sound that is starting to download through me. And it's not a departure from what I've done in the past, but it's new and it's a little scary to try to claim that bigness. And so we've got to clear this persecution energy out. And some of you have people in your family and in your friend circle who have persecuted you in this lifetime. And you may also have people in your friend group or in your family who have persecuted you in other lifetimes, and those relationships may be very tumultuous right now. There's a lot of conflict energy being resolved, a lot of karmic stuff coming in relationships to be cleared. So with this persecution energy, the thing to remember is that if something all of a sudden gets really loud and really overwhelming in your field related to a person that's in your life, that you realize that there may be other dimensional things at play here. So I believe it was in February, we talked about this idea of our multidimensionality and becoming more aware of that. That was to prep us to clear out some of this persecution energy and this karmic stuff that we need to get through in our relationships so that we can be in a place of wholeness in our relationships. So really pay attention to your relationship landscape. If you're really getting triggered easily and getting angry easily, just realize that there's a lot happening here, right? This is not maybe just about the argument that you're having in the moment. It may be much bigger than that. And so really try to pause and take a breath and pay attention to what's coming up for you and just inquire. You can just simply ask the question, is this from another lifetime? And often you'll hear either a yes or a no. And if you find that it is from another lifetime, offer that up to source, right? Say, okay, I don't need to be dealing with this baggage from these other lifetimes. I just want to be in present time. So one way to counteract this persecution energy as it's clearing out is to get really present in the body. And we worked on presence in March, right? So it's really building into this theme and supporting us in letting go of all this conflict and this fight energy. I see this theme being a little bit louder at the beginning of the month. So just pay attention, use the energies, and maybe even write a letter and to the people that you're having conflict with, and just forgive them for anything that may have happened in any other lifetime, right? And then burn that letter or bury that letter. That can be a really good practice as well for these energies. So that takes me kind of to theme number 2, which is courage. And I was trying to figure out exactly what to say besides just courage in terms of like the short title. And my guides kept saying, no, it's just courage. And then they gave me a little bit more information. And courage is something that we all need a bit more of, in my opinion. I think that we are conditioned to be safe. We're conditioned to not take risks, to not put ourselves out there. And that comes from some of that persecution energy. It comes from some of the experiences that we've had in this lifetime. And so this idea of courage is twofold. So one of the things that I'm noticing is that people want to set boundaries, but they're not able to set them. One of the things that I'm noticing is that COVID has created an opportunity for us to set boundaries. And many of us don't have a lot of courage to set boundaries without it. And so now that things are starting to shift and things are starting to open up, we're being challenged in, can we be courageous in saying no to things? Can we be courageous in saying yes to things, right? So this theme is twofold. It's not just about having courage to say yes and move forward with things. It's also having courage to say no. This isn't acceptable for me. It used to be in alignment for me to do this, but it's no longer in alignment, right? So if you're being called back into the office and it's not in alignment for you to go into the office anymore, honor that if you can, right? If you're being asked to go to parties and events and pack your schedule and that's no longer in alignment for you, then honor that, right? Our nervous systems have been impacted by everything that's happened in the last year. And if we don't want to become depleted again, if we don't want to become more depleted than we already are, we have to have the courage to set these boundaries, to say no where we need to, and to say yes as well. And you know, you might also be noticing that you really want to go do something, but you're afraid to re-engage. And so you might need to activate this courage so that you can re-engage with the world as well, right? So this works in both directions. And if you're planning to put yourself out there in a bigger way and maybe launch a business or do something new, this courage being activated is very, very important. And a lot of that energy comes from the solar plexus, from the sacral chakra, from those lower energy centers that we've been working on for the last 2 months. So much energy has cleared out of those lower chakras that would keep us from being in our confidence. And it's really paved the way for us to take some of these courageous next steps. I feel like since January, we've been warming up to this theme, right? Because a lot of what I'm seeing from my clients is that they're being asked to do things that are incredibly courageous. And maybe do things that they would have never done before. And this is a huge, huge energy, right? To start something brand new is a huge energy, and it takes a lot of fortitude for us to bring these things forward. So if you feel like you're on the precipice of a new beginning and you're getting fearful, just honor that fear energy as it comes up, right? Honor it, because it may be coming from that persecution energy. It may be coming from a place where the last time you put yourself out there, you were harmed. So Don't try to repress it, but also don't get so lost in the fear that you don't take the step, right? Sometimes that fear is just coming up to say, hey, this is really important. This is a really big deal and you need to honor it that way. And so maybe you can celebrate that new beginning with some of your friends, or just maybe doing a little ceremony for yourself, and honor that this is a big deal for you to step into this courage. So that's theme number 2. And theme number 3, which is I think the biggest one of the month, is all about finding your inner knowing. And that really means that we need to step out of this indecisive energy. And I know that that's really hard because we haven't really known what was going to come in the last 6 months, year, and we still don't really know. Everything feels very tenuous. And so we need to activate that courage so that we can start to drop into our inner knowing. But this finding your inner knowing is also about stepping out of being indecisive and looking for external validation to make your decisions. And, I'm going to use the vaccine here, which I know is a bit of a sticky subject, to talk about this, because everybody keeps asking me what I'm doing, and I'm not going to share that with any of you because I don't think that matters at this point. But I also think that it's important, and I've been sharing with everybody, that they need to honor their inner knowing about how they want to move forward. Which one is the right choice for them? What is the right timing? What protocols do they want to put around the vaccine when they take it, right? Do they want to bring in some things to support their body? That is just one example of what it looks like to find your inner knowing and to stick to it. And if you start asking everybody else for their opinion, you're going to come out of that truth really quickly, right? So it's nice to get information. It's nice to ask people for help with things and to get support. But at some point, you have to anchor into what is true for you and take an action, right? This month is a lot about taking those action steps after we activate that inner knowing. So if you're somebody who tends to outsource your decisions, really pay attention to that this month. Where can you start to drop in? And just like we talked about last month, claiming that choice, this time, where can you claim that inner truth and that inner knowing? And we've been through a lot of clearing in the solar plexus chakras over the last few weeks. And that solar plexus energy center in the belly is all about confidence and claiming that truth and being sure of it, right? And it doesn't mean that truth can't change. It doesn't mean that it can't be mutable, that you can't change your mind. But if you find yourself spiraling, right, and needing that external validation, really, really pay attention here and say, how can I come back to my center? How can I come back to my truth? What do I want to do? What is my truth? And one of my favorite ways to do that is to imagine myself in the center of my headspace, right in the very center of my brain. And I imagine anybody that's in there that's trying to tell me what to do being kicked out. I literally see a room and I see trapdoors and I see them all dropping out of that space. And I'm there on my own and I'm claiming my own decisions. I'm finding my inner knowing. So if you've got a lot of people in your head, whether they be family members or friends or people on social media or on the news, getting into your head, take a time out. Take a day, take several hours away from your phone, away from those connections, and really just sit with yourself and say, what is my inner knowing about this situation? Do I want to move forward with this? Do I want to start that business? Do I want to jump into this relationship? Do I want to end this relationship? Whatever choices you need to make this month, make sure they're coming from that place of deep inner knowing. It is so, so, so important. And so that theme, that third theme of finding your inner knowing, is what we're going to focus on in this month's Healing Circle. And I'm going to weave in to those teachings about activating our intuition, activating our gut knowing, right? So we think a lot of our intuition comes from our third eye. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We need to drop into that gut, into that truth place deep inside our belly. And that's what we're going to be activating in this month's Healing Circle. So 3 really big themes: persecution energy, claiming that courage, and finding your inner knowing. This is a big month, everybody. We're catapulting in, right? January, February, March, we're kind of clearing warm-up months. We're really activating some more of that divine masculine action energy this month and starting to get back out there and do things that are really important to us. If it's not in alignment, don't do it. right? Let go where you can. Be in a place of flow and surrender as you're taking this action. Pay attention to that gut knowing. Really act courageously. This is big energy, everybody, and you've got this. Thank you so much for watching. Our Healing Circle is on Wednesday, April 14th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be working with that theme of finding your inner knowing. I'll put the link to register in the information below this video. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful month. If you're in North America, happy spring, happy Easter, wherever you are, if you celebrate that. And just thank you so much for being a part of this community and for tuning in. Have a beautiful day.